Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our weekly conversation. My name is Emma, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend, James. Hi, James. How are you today?
Hi, Emma. I'm doing well, thank you. It's great to be back here with you and with all our listeners. I've really been looking forward to our chat today.
Me too, because today we're diving into a topic that affects every single one of us, every single day. We're going to talk about technology and its impact on our relationships. It's such a huge topic, and it's something that has changed so much, even in just the last 5 or 10 years. It feels like the rules for how we connect with people are being rewritten right in front of us.
That's so true. I was thinking about it the other day. We have more ways to communicate than ever before in history. We have instant messaging, video calls, social media, but people also report feeling more lonely than ever. It's a strange contradiction, isn't it? We are always connected, but we don't always feel a deep connection.
Exactly. That's the central question we want to explore. How is technology changing not just how we talk, but how we love, how we make friends, and how we maintain those relationships over time? It has both positive and negative sides, and it can be quite complicated.
I agree, so I think a good place to start is at the very beginning of a relationship. In our first section today, let's focus on that initial spark. How has technology changed the way we form new relationships? How do people even meet each other in this modern digital world?
That's the perfect starting point. From online dating to social media, the entire process of meeting someone new looks completely different from how it did for our parents' generation. So, let's get into it. So, James, when we talk about forming new relationships today, I think the first thing that comes to mind for most people is online dating. Dating apps and websites have become so normal. Just a decade ago, it was something people were a little embarrassed about, but now it's one of the most common ways for couples to meet. It's a huge cultural shift.
It really is, and on one hand, I can see the appeal. Life is busy, and it can be hard to meet new people outside of your existing social circle or workplace. Dating apps offer this incredible promise of access. You have a pool of thousands of potential partners right at your fingertips. It's efficient in a way. You can filter by age, location, and interests, which seems very practical.
I agree, the access it provides is amazing. I have a friend who lived in a small town, and she felt like she knew everyone already. She started using a dating app and met her now husband, who lived 2 towns away. They probably would have never crossed paths in their daily lives. In that sense, technology is creating opportunities for connection that just didn't exist before.
That's a beautiful example, and I don't deny that it can work wonderfully for some people. But there's another side to it that I often think about. Does this efficiency come at a cost? When you're swiping through profiles, it can start to feel less like you're looking for a human connection and more like you're shopping. You're looking at pictures and short biographies, and you make a decision in seconds. It feels very transactional.
I understand what you mean by transactional. It can feel a bit superficial. But isn't that what we do in real life, too, just in a different way? When you meet someone at a party, you make a quick first impression based on how they look or what they say in the first few minutes. Maybe dating apps are just a more honest and direct version of that initial judgment.
That's a fair point, but I think the difference is the mindset. On a dating app, you are actively looking for flaws to filter people out. Oh, I don't like his shirt, or she likes a band I hate. You swipe left and they're gone forever. In person, you might overlook a small thing like that because you're also feeling their energy, their warmth, the way they smile. There's more data, more human information than just a few curated photos and a clever sentence in a bio.
That makes sense. The profile itself is another interesting aspect. Everyone is trying to present the best possible version of themselves. We choose the most flattering photos, the ones from our travels, the ones where we look happy and successful. It's not lying, exactly, but it's a form of marketing. And then there's the pressure to live up to that perfect image when you finally meet in person.
Exactly, you're not just meeting a person, you're meeting their personal brand manager. And this leads to another big change, the long period of texting or messaging that happens before a first date. In the past, you might meet someone, get their phone number, and then call them to ask them out on a date. Now there can be days or even weeks of constant messaging before you ever hear their voice.
Yes, the talking stage, as people call it. I have mixed feelings about this. On the positive side, it can be a good way to see if you have some common ground. You can ask questions and get a sense of their personality and humor. For many people, especially women, it can also feel like a safety measure, a way to screen someone before agreeing to meet them in person.
I see the safety argument, and that's very important, but I also worry about what happens during that talking stage. When you only communicate through text, you start to build a picture of the other person in your mind. You fill in the gaps with your own imagination and your own hopes. You might have amazing texting chemistry, but then you meet in person and there's just nothing. The real person can't possibly live up to the idealized version you created.
That's a huge risk. The disappointment can be really strong if you've invested a lot of emotional energy into those conversations. You can feel like you know someone so well, but what you really know is their writing style. You don't know the rhythm of their speech, how they hold eye contact, or how they make you feel when you're in the same room. That's all missing.
It is, and it makes the first date feel like it has so much pressure. It's not just a first meeting, it's a test to see if the reality matches the weeks of digital buildup. It changes the dynamic entirely. It's less about discovery and more about confirmation. Is this person the same person I was texting? That's a very different question from, who is this interesting new person in front of me?
And it's not just dating apps, is it? Social media platforms like Instagram or Facebook have also become places where relationships begin. People connect through mutual friends or shared interests, and a relationship can start with a simple like on a photo or a direct message. It's a blur between public social life and private romantic interest.
Yes, the sliding into the DMs. It's a much more public way to show interest, but it also brings another layer of complexity, the pre-date investigation. Before you even meet someone for a coffee, you can look through years of their photos, see who their friends are, find out where they've traveled, and learn what they did last weekend. The sense of mystery is completely gone.
I think many people would argue that's a good thing. They see it as doing their homework. You can check for red flags or see if you share similar values. For example, if you see someone posting about causes you care about, that can be a positive sign. It's just another way of gathering information, isn't it?
It is, but I wonder if we're gathering too much information too soon. We can form a strong opinion about someone before they've even had a chance to introduce themselves on their own terms. A photo from 5 years ago might create a negative impression that isn't fair or accurate today. We lose the chance for a clean slate, for the slow and natural process of revealing ourselves to each other over time.
I see your point. It removes the element of surprise and discovery. It makes me wonder, and this might be a bigger, more philosophical question, are we losing the art of meeting people spontaneously in the real world? In a cafe, at a bookstore, in a park? Those How I Met Your Mother stories feel like they are from a different era.
I think we are to some extent. Look around you in any public space. So many people are looking down at their phones, they have their headphones in, they are closed off in their own digital bubbles. The social signal is do not disturb. Approaching a stranger in that context feels much more intimidating and risky than it used to.
It's true, There's a fear of being seen as strange or intrusive, whereas sending a message online feels safer. The risk of rejection is lower. If someone doesn't reply to your message, it stings a little, but it's not the same as someone saying no to your face. We've created a system that minimizes the risk of face-to-face rejection, but we might be losing the potential for face-to-face connection as a result.
Exactly, we're optimizing for comfort and safety, but relationships are inherently a bit risky. They require vulnerability. I worry that by removing all the small social risks, we are also removing the opportunities for genuine, spontaneous moments of magic. You can't schedule a spark. You can't plan a moment of unexpected chemistry with a stranger. It just has to happen. And it can only happen when we are open and present in the world around us, not just in the world on our screens.
So, to summarize what we've discussed so far, it seems technology has made meeting people more efficient and accessible, which is a clear positive. But it has also introduced new challenges. The pressure of perfect profiles, the gap between our digital and real selves, and a potential decline in spontaneous, real-world connections. It's a very mixed picture.
It is, and it makes me think about what happens next. Once you've navigated this new world of forming a relationship, how does technology affect the way we actually build and maintain that connection? But that's probably a conversation for the next part of our discussion.
So, we've talked about how people meet, but that's really just the beginning. I think the next, and maybe even bigger, question is how technology has changed the way we communicate once we're in those relationships. I'm not just talking about romantic partners, but with our friends and family, too. The primary mode of communication for so many of us has become texting and instant messaging. It's fast, it's easy, but I really wonder what we're losing when we rely on it so much.
That's the central tension, isn't it? Speed versus depth. On one hand, it's amazing that I can send a quick message to a friend who lives on the other side of the world and get a reply in seconds. It allows for a constant thread of connection throughout the day. You can share a funny photo, a quick thought, or a simple thinking of you. That kind of continuous, low-effort contact is a completely new phenomenon, and it can definitely help people feel closer and more involved in each other's daily lives.
I agree that constant thread is a real gift, especially for long-distance relationships, but I worry about the quality of that thread. A text message is missing so much of what makes human communication rich. You can't hear the other person's tone of voice. You can't see the look in their eyes or their body language. I can't tell you how many times a simple message like "okay" has caused confusion. Does it mean, "Okay, I agree"? Or does it mean, "Okay, I'm angry and this conversation is over"? Without the nonverbal cues, we're just guessing.
Oh, absolutely. We are constantly trying to interpret the subtext, and we often get it wrong. We project our own mood onto the message we are reading. If you're feeling insecure, a delayed reply can feel like a rejection. If you're feeling angry, a short message can feel aggressive. The potential for miscommunication is huge because we are working with such incomplete information. We're trying to understand a three-dimensional human being through a one-dimensional screen, and it often leads to unnecessary conflict and anxiety.
It really does, and it changes how we express ourselves, too. When you're on the phone or talking in person, the conversation flows naturally. But with texting, there's a performative element. We have time to craft the perfect message. We edit our words, we choose the right emoji to convey a specific feeling. It's not always a spontaneous or honest reflection of our thoughts. We are curating our communication in the same way we curate our social media profiles, and that can create a distance between our true selves and the digital version that we present to others.
That's a brilliant point. We become writers and editors of our own dialogue. It can make conversations feel less authentic. This brings up another major aspect for me, the pressure of constant availability. Because we can be reached at any moment, there's an unspoken expectation that we should be. The moment you see those little check marks that show your message has been read, a clock starts ticking in the other person's mind. Why haven't they replied yet? This expectation can be a huge source of stress.
The stress is very real. It's like we've lost the right to be unreachable. In the past, if you were out for dinner or watching a movie, you were simply unavailable, and that was normal. Now, our phones are always with us, buzzing and demanding our attention. It blurs the lines between our personal time and our social obligations. It can feel like you're never truly alone and never fully present with the people you are physically with, because a part of your brain is always on standby, waiting for the next notification.
It's a paradox because the tool that is meant to connect us can actually make us feel disconnected from our immediate reality. You see it all the time in restaurants. A family sitting together at a table, but every single person is looking down at their own phone. They are physically together, but mentally they are in completely different worlds. We are losing the ability to give our undivided attention to one another, and that is a fundamental skill for building deep and meaningful relationships. We are trading quality time for constant, fragmented communication.
This idea of trading quality for quantity feels especially true when we look at modern dating. We touched on it earlier, but I think it's worth diving deeper into how dating apps like Tinder, Bumble, or Hinge have completely reshaped the landscape of romance. The concept of swiping through potential partners has turned dating into something that feels like a game or a shopping experience. It's fast-paced, and I think it encourages a very superficial way of looking at people.
Absolutely does. The entire system is built on snap judgments. You have a few seconds to look at a handful of pictures and maybe a clever line of text before you swipe left or right. You are making a decision about a whole complex person based on almost no information. This swipe culture can be damaging because it teaches us to see people as disposable commodities. If you don't like one, there are hundreds, even thousands, more waiting. It reduces people to products in a catalog.
Exactly. And this leads to what psychologists call the paradox of choice. When we are presented with what seems like an infinite number of options, we struggle to make a decision. Even when we do choose someone and go on a date, there's a nagging feeling in the back of our minds. Is this the best person I can find? What if there's someone better just one more swipe away? This mindset makes it incredibly difficult to feel satisfied and to commit to one person, because the illusion of a perfect option is always there.
That is one of the biggest problems. It creates a state of permanent dissatisfaction. People go on many first dates but very few second or third dates. They are always searching for that instant perfect chemistry, and if it's not there immediately, they move on. But real lasting connection isn't always a fireworks show on the first date. Sometimes it's a slow burn. It's something that grows over time as you get to know someone's true character, their quirks, their vulnerabilities. The apps don't really allow space for that slow, patient process of discovery.
They don't. The process is designed for speed, not depth. And this fast, low-investment culture has also given rise to really painful behaviors, like ghosting. This is when someone you've been talking to or even dating for a while simply disappears without a trace. They stop answering your messages and calls, and you never get an explanation or a sense of closure. It's become incredibly common because it's easier to vanish than to have an honest, but difficult, conversation.
Ghosting is a direct result of the dehumanizing nature of these apps. When you feel like the person on the other end is just a profile, not a real human with real feelings, it becomes easier to treat them poorly. The consequences of ghosting can be really harmful to a person's self-esteem. It can make you question your own worth and leave you feeling confused and hurt. It's a cruel way to end a connection, but the structure of online dating makes it seem almost normal.
So this brings us back to the big question. Are people building deeper connections in this digital era, or are they struggling more? I talk to so many friends who feel exhausted by the whole process. They describe it as being on a treadmill. They swipe, they chat, they go on a disappointing date, and then the cycle starts all over again. It feels like a lot of work for very little reward, and it can leave people feeling cynical and pessimistic about finding love.
I think for many, it is a struggle. We are conditioned by these apps to look for perfection and to treat relationships as disposable. We are losing our tolerance for imperfection and our patience for the hard work that a real relationship requires. When a real partnership faces a challenge, the easy escape of the apps is always waiting. It takes a lot of conscious effort and self-awareness to use these tools without letting their underlying values, speed, superficiality, and disposability, negatively affect the way we approach love and connection in the real world.
It's interesting how our conversation keeps coming back to this theme of quality versus quantity. And it makes me think beyond just romantic relationships. I want to talk about our friendships and our families. Because in this area, I feel like the benefits of technology are so clear and so wonderful. The ability to stay connected with loved ones across huge distances is something we probably take for granted, but it's a true gift.
It is an incredible gift. I think about my own family. My sister lives in a different country, and I have a nephew who is growing up so fast. 20 years ago, our connection would have been limited to expensive phone calls once a week and maybe a few printed photos sent in the mail. Now we can have video calls where I can actually see him play and hear his voice. We have a family group chat on WhatsApp where we share everyday moments, a picture of a meal, a funny thing the dog did. It creates a sense of shared daily life that would have been impossible before.
The family group chat is such a universal thing now, isn't it? It's like a digital living room where everyone can drop in and out. It's perfect for sharing quick updates, organizing plans, and just feeling like you're all in the loop. For friendships, too, I have a group chat with my best friends from university. We live in 4 different cities now, but that chat is our anchor. It's where we celebrate each other's successes and support each other through hard times. In that way, technology feels like a powerful glue holding these important relationships together against the pressures of distance and busy lives.
It absolutely is a glue, but I think we also have to look at what happens when that digital connection starts to interfere with our physical connection. The same technology that keeps us close to people far away can create a distance between us and the people who are sitting right across the table. We've all seen it. A family out for dinner, not talking to each other, but each person staring at their own phone, smiling at something on their screen. What is happening in that moment?
It's such a sad and common sight. It's this idea of being physically present but mentally absent. Your body is there, but your attention, your mind, and your emotions are somewhere else entirely. It sends a powerful, unspoken message to the person you are with. The message is, the person or the thing on this screen is more important to me right now than you are. Even if we don't mean to send that message, that is how it feels to be on the receiving end of it.
That's precisely it. It's a form of social rejection, even if it's a small one. It devalues the shared physical space. And it makes me wonder, are we spending less quality time together even when we are physically in the same room? We might spend a whole evening together, but if that time is constantly interrupted by notifications, texts, and scrolling, how much of that time is truly shared? Are we creating shared experiences? Or are we just occupying the same space while having separate digital experiences?
I think that's a really important distinction. It's the difference between being together and being with someone. Being with someone requires your focused attention. It requires listening, making eye contact, and being responsive to their energy. That's how deep bonds are strengthened. But when our attention is fragmented, split between the physical world and a dozen digital conversations, the quality of our interaction drops dramatically. A deep conversation can't happen in 30-second intervals between checking your phone.
It can't, and it changes the dynamic of friendship. Friendships are built on vulnerability and shared confidence. In the past, if you had something important to share, you would call your friend or meet them in person. Now there's a temptation to post it in the group chat. While that's efficient, it changes the nature of the disclosure. It feels less intimate, and the support you receive is often a series of emojis rather than a heartfelt conversation. The convenience can sometimes strip the moment of its emotional significance.
That's so true. You get a dozen heart emojis, but you miss out on hearing that one friend's reassuring voice. We are choosing breadth over depth, reaching many people at once but with less impact. And this also affects our family traditions. Sunday dinners, holiday gatherings, these moments used to be sacred spaces for connection. Now, they are often just backdrops for taking photos to post online, with everyone checking their phones to see how many likes their post is getting. We are performing our family time instead of living it.
Performing our family time is the perfect phrase for it. We are so focused on documenting the moment for an external audience that we forget to be participants in the moment ourselves. The priority shifts from creating a memory to creating content. But I think it's also important to be fair. It's not all negative. For families, especially with younger generations, sharing things online can be a valid way of bonding. It's about finding a balance, isn't it? The challenge is to use these tools to enhance our relationships, not to replace the essential face-to-face interactions.
Yes, balance is the key, and it requires a conscious effort from everyone. It requires us to create new rules, new social etiquette for the digital age. For example, having a no phones at the dinner table rule. It seems simple, but it's a powerful statement. It says that for this period of time, we are choosing each other. We are choosing to be present with one another. It's about carving out protected time for real, undivided connection, and recognizing that this is something that needs to be actively defended in our tech-saturated world.
Exactly, we have to be the masters of our technology, not the other way around. The tools themselves are neutral. A group chat is not inherently good or bad. It's how we use it that matters. It can be a lifeline that keeps a family connected across continents, or it can be a distraction that pulls a family apart in their own living room. The responsibility falls on us to use it with intention, to build bridges with those far away without building walls between us and those who are right beside us.
This conversation about the pressure to be present and the distraction of our phones leads to a much bigger and more serious topic: our mental well-being. This state of being constantly connected, of being bombarded with notifications all day long, has a real psychological impact. I think about the low-level anxiety that so many of us now live with. The sound of a notification can trigger a genuine stress response in our bodies. We feel this urgent need to check, to respond, to engage, and it keeps us in a perpetual state of alert.
It really does. Our brains haven't evolved to handle this level of constant stimulation. Every buzz and ping is a tiny interruption that pulls our attention away from what we're doing and forces a context switch. This digital overload is exhausting, but beyond the exhaustion, there is a deeper, more painful paradox at play. We have these devices that promise constant connection, and yet studies consistently show that rising social media use is correlated with rising rates of loneliness and depression. How can it be that the more connected we are, the more isolated we feel?
I believe a huge part of it is the illusion of connection. Seeing your friends' updates on social media can make you feel like you're involved in their lives, but it's a very passive form of involvement. You are an observer, not a participant. It's like watching a movie of your friends' lives instead of being a character in them. That passive consumption doesn't fulfill our deep, human need for true, reciprocal connection, the kind where you feel seen, heard, and understood by another person.
That's the core of it. True connection is an active, two-way street. It requires effort, empathy, and vulnerability. Scrolling through a feed is a solitary activity, and it often leads to social comparison. You're usually alone when you're looking at these carefully curated images of everyone else's perfect vacations, happy relationships, and successful careers. It's very easy to look at that and then look at your own messy, complicated real life and feel like you are failing. That comparison is a recipe for loneliness and anxiety.
It's a recipe for feeling that you are on the outside looking in. And this cycle is made worse by the addictive nature of these platforms. They are designed by very smart people to capture and hold our attention for as long as possible. They use techniques like variable rewards, the same principle that makes slot machines addictive. You don't know when you'll get a like or a comment, so you keep checking, hoping for that little dopamine hit. This screen addiction is not a failure of willpower. It's a feature of the design.
And this addiction has a very real consequence. It displaces time that could be spent on genuine face-to-face interaction. Every hour we spend scrolling is an hour we are not spending on having a real conversation, going for a walk with a friend, or engaging in a hobby that could connect us with others in our community. We are losing practice in the art of being human together. We are becoming less comfortable with the silences, the awkwardness, and the unfiltered reality of in-person communication.
So what can we do? It can feel so hopeless, like we are trapped in a system that is designed to make us anxious and alone. But I believe we can take back control. I think the starting point has to be awareness, just noticing how our devices make us feel. For me, a big step has been implementing a digital detox in small ways. It's not about throwing away my phone, but about creating intentional time away from it, like leaving it in another room for a few hours in the evening.
Those small, practical steps are so important. Another powerful tool is setting clear boundaries. A simple but life-changing one is to turn off all non-essential notifications. You don't need to know every time someone likes your photo instantly. Deciding when you want to check your phone rather than letting your phone decide for you is a huge shift from a reactive to a proactive mindset. It's about reclaiming your attention.
I love that idea. It's about being mindful with our technology use. Before picking up the phone, we can ask ourselves a simple question. What is my intention right now? Am I picking it up for a specific purpose, like contacting a friend or looking up information? Or am I just picking it up out of boredom or habit, looking for a distraction? Just that small pause, that moment of self-reflection, can be enough to break the cycle of mindless scrolling.
Ultimately, the solution is not to demonize technology. It's an integral part of our world, and as we've discussed, it offers incredible benefits for our relationships. The goal is to move towards a healthier, more balanced relationship with our technology. It's about using it as a tool to facilitate connection, not as a substitute for it. We need to consciously prioritize real-world, face-to-face interaction, because we know that is what truly nourishes our mental well-being and combats the feeling of isolation.
Yes, it all comes down to intention. We need to use technology to make plans to see people in person. Use it to maintain connections with people far away. But when we are with people, we need to have the courage to put it away and offer them our most valuable and precious gift, our full, undivided attention. That is how we fight back against the loneliness of the digital age, one real, present, human connection at a time.
Well said, it's a challenge for all of us, but it's one we have to take on if we want to protect the quality and depth of our human relationships in this modern world.
This entire conversation has been about where we are now, but it makes me think about the future. Technology is not slowing down. We're on the edge of new realities like the metaverse, with advanced virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR. We're also seeing the rise of sophisticated AI companions. How do you think these future technologies will reshape our relationships? It feels like we are heading into uncharted territory.
It really does feel like we're standing at a new frontier. When I think about VR and AR, I see both incredible potential and significant risk. On the one hand, imagine being able to have a presence in the same room as a loved one who is thousands of miles away. Not just seeing them on a flat screen, but feeling like you are sitting across from them, sharing a virtual space. This could be a powerful tool against loneliness for the elderly or for those separated by distance. It could make long-distance relationships feel much more tangible.
I see that potential too. It could elevate digital communication to a whole new level of immersion. But I also have a deep sense of caution. Will these hyper-realistic virtual worlds become so appealing that people start to prefer them over the messiness of real life? If you can build a perfect virtual life with perfect virtual friends, it might become harder to find the motivation to deal with the complexities and imperfections of real human beings. It could lead to an even deeper retreat from the physical world.
That's the core fear, isn't it? The question of replacement. Can a digital relationship, no matter how immersive, ever fully replace an in-person one? I don't believe it can. A virtual hug will never release the same hormones like oxytocin that a real physical hug does. You can't share a meal in the same way. You can't feel the warmth of another person's presence. I think we have to be careful not to confuse a realistic simulation of connection with the real thing. The simulation might satisfy us temporarily, but it may not nourish our deep-seated human need for authentic physical connection.
I agree, but what about the rise of AI companions? We're already seeing chatbots that are designed to be friends or even romantic partners. They offer 24/7 availability, they never get angry, and they are programmed to be perfectly supportive. For someone who is profoundly lonely, I can see how this might feel like a solution. But does a relationship with an AI teach us how to be in a relationship with a human? Or does it teach us to expect an unrealistic level of perfection that real people can never provide?
That's such a critical question. I worry that it teaches us the second thing. Human relationships are about negotiation, compromise, and learning to love someone despite their imperfections. A relationship with a perfectly agreeable AI doesn't challenge us to grow. It doesn't teach us empathy or how to handle conflict. It could actually make us less skilled and less patient in our real-world relationships. We might become less tolerant of the very things that make us human.
So, as we look to the future, it seems we face a big choice. Will we use these powerful new technologies to create deeper, more meaningful connections across distances? Or will we use them to build comfortable, isolated bubbles that protect us from the challenges and beautiful mess of real human interaction? The direction we go in is not really about the technology itself, but about the human values we choose to prioritize.
Exactly, and this brings me to a final, more hopeful thought. What if we can use technology to actually help us be more human? We've talked a lot about the downsides, but what if we build apps that encourage face-to-face meetups? What if we design social media that rewards vulnerability instead of perfection? We could use technology to remind us to call our parents, to schedule quality time with our friends, and to disconnect from our screens. The future isn't set. We have the agency to design and choose technologies that support our well-being and our humanity, not diminish them.
That feels like a perfect place to bring our conversation to a close for today. It's a hopeful thought to end on, that the future is still in our hands. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has been listening and thinking along with us. This was a huge topic, and we really appreciate you spending your time with us.
Yes, thank you all so much. We've covered so much ground today. We talked about how modern communication is often about speed over depth, and how something as simple as a text message can lead to misunderstanding because it lacks tone and body language. We also explored the world of dating apps and how the paradox of choice can make it harder, not easier, to find a meaningful connection.
We also touched on how technology has been a gift for our friendships and family relationships, allowing us to stay close across distances, but how it also threatens our ability to be truly present with the people right in front of us. And finally, we reflected on the very real anxiety and loneliness that can come from this digital overload, and the importance of being intentional with how we use these powerful tools.
We really hope this conversation has given you some food for thought. We encourage you to take a moment this week to reflect on your own relationship with technology. How does it make you feel? How is it helping your relationships, and how might it be getting in the way? There are no right or wrong answers, but simply asking the question is a powerful first step.
And we would love to hear your thoughts. You can find us on our social media channels or leave a comment on the platform where you listen to this podcast. We read everything, and your experiences and perspectives are so valuable to us. This is a conversation we all need to be having.
Absolutely. So until next time, let's all try to be a little more mindful. Let's use these amazing tools to build bridges, and let's remember to put our phones down and offer our full attention to the people we love. Thank you again for listening. Take care and be well.